Welcome back, everyone, to Michelle on Demand. I'm Michelle Rawls, your licensed nutritionist, nurse, and specialist in diabetes management. All right, so today's topic, and I just want to say thank you guys for being here. It has really been a beautiful and wonderful beginning to 2025. You guys have been showing up, you guys have been paying attention, you have been taking this journey very seriously. I know we are 22 days into our journey together here in 2025. But I want to tell you how proud I am of you for showing up. Just showing up. You're showing up for you, and that means everything. As long as you continue to show up, as long as you continue to take these little tidbits, tips, and tricks and utilize them, the success to your journey is going to be huge. So today we are going to talk about portion control and mindful eating. And you're going to come back and say, wait a minute, we've been talking about this. Why are we continuing to talk about it? I'm going to tell you why, because we need to hear things anywhere between 12 to 15 times. And the new study out is saying 15 to 17 times before it actually sinks in and resonates with us. So I am going to continue to hone in on this topic until everyone says you're really sick of it. So no one has said that yet, and that's okay because we're obviously not there yet. Obviously, you're still hearing me. Obviously, you're still enjoying this conversation. So today we are going to talk about portion control, right? Portion control. And we're going to talk about mindful eating and what that really means. Okay. So, again, welcome everyone. Today on Michelle on Demand, we are going to dive into these topics and we're going to have fun with it. Okay. And as you know, I'm only here for 20 minutes. For those of you who are here for your 2 free weeks, or you're here checking it out, whatever, incentive you're here on, after that 20 minutes, we actually, boot you off. Not to be rude, I'm just saying, those of you who are just here for that time frame, and then I dive into those individuals who are actually here for a program and are wanting to move forward. So all right, here we go. So today we're diving into two essential topics: portion control and mindful eating. They're powerful tools to help you maintain balance in your health and your journey here at Show Me Nourish. So we're going to set this all up for you today. Okay, so let's talk about the use of portion plates, how to use them effectively, and then practicing those mindful habits that we tend to forget when we're eating. So we're going to talk about that in great length and detail. So let's get started on the portion control part. Okay, so portion control is about eating the right amount of food for your needs. I know that just sounded like it really restricted, but it doesn't. So I want to dive into this really, really quickly. So this is a portioned plate. Now this is a child's plate. As you can tell, it's got a little suction on the bottom, but this is what I utilize to demonstrate. Okay. So let's talk about a real adult size portion plate. Okay. It has a big portion to it, which actually this is the bigger portion to this plate. So this would be your meat, and I always set the plate with the bigger portion in front of me. Bigger portion in front of me. So bigger portion is in front of me. This is where my protein would go. Okay. So protein goes at the 12 o'clock hour of the clock, right? So let's talk about a clock. I'm going to utilize a clock. So 12 o'clock hour of the clock, we put all of this full of protein. Okay. So whatever your protein is, whether it's beans, lentils, chicken, turkey, burger, steak, whatever your protein is, eggs, whatever, that goes here. Okay. And people are like, oh, so does it heap? No, it doesn't heap. All right. It does not heap. So we're not stacking 4 and 5 pieces of burger right here. We're not stacking 4 or 5 pieces of chicken here. Okay. By the way, this is a child size plate. This is not an adult plate. I want to reiterate that. Okay. So get you an adult plate. You get the idea with this. Okay. So let me move over to this. Anybody remember these from school? So I do have them. All right, so let's talk about it at the 12 o'clock hour. This plate right here, okay? this would be your meat. Now, again, this is not going to be all loaded, heaping with meat, but it is going to have your meat in this area. Ladies, you need 100 grams of protein every single day. And you know what? That's really hard to obtain. And we don't do it right away. We build that up over time. I am just now to where after, I mean, guys, I've been doing this for 11 years. And I am just now up to 90 grams of protein a day. Okay. I still haven't hit 100 grams. Do I feel better? Absolutely. I feel so much better because I have learned how protein and other foods, which I teach you here, give me energy and produce my day. And I'm going to give you a story for yesterday. So, yesterday, I was not feeling my best. Okay. I just wasn't. Um, it was cold. It was like -3 degrees at the early morning hours of yesterday. My husband came home at 5 a.m. And because he works nights, and he was like, it's really cold. And he was so cold. I mean, when he snuggled up next to me, I was like, oh no, like you gotta get your own like room here. Like you're cold. But my body was responding to that cold weather. I wasn't doing the best. I wasn't doing my worst, but I also wasn't feeling the best. So I knew right away yesterday in the morning at 5 a.m. what I needed to do to boost my body and to rid it of pain. So right away, guys, I immediately, grabbed my eggs. So I grabbed 2 eggs, two, because that's what I need in order to boost me. I loaded it with ginger, turmeric, pepper, black pepper, and pink Himalayan salt. And I went to town with that turmeric, that ginger, and that black pepper because I needed to make sure that my body was going to absorb it. Black pepper helps turmeric absorb. Okay. I knew I needed that in order to get into my body and start releasing that inflammation and pain. And ginger and turmeric go in and they start literally eating away at that inflammation and bringing it down to where it flushes out of the system. So then for snacks yesterday, right after I had, my breakfast, which was, my two scrambled eggs loaded with the turmeric, black pepper, pink Himalayan salt, and ginger. And believe me, you're not going to taste that in your eggs. You just don't. Black pepper and pink Himalayan salt, you're going to taste that. But the turmeric and the ginger, you do not taste. Okay. It's not there. The flavor is just not there. Okay. All right. So people ask me all the time, do you taste that? No, you don't taste it. Anyway, after that, then my snacks for the day were peanut butter. So peanut butter, all natural peanut butter. I kid you not, it's cashew, the regular cashew peanuts and all that. Yeah, I use cashew butter, I use almond butter. I use or nut butter, and then I use regular peanut butter, all natural. Everything is all natural. So these are good protein packed things that you can utilize to boost your day, but also help you in reducing pain and inflammation. So one of my other snacks for yesterday was edamame. So I have a Ziploc bag that I put turmeric, black pepper, ginger, pink Himalayan salt, all into a baggie. And then I shake that up really good. I didn't realize I was shaking my table, shaking it up really good. And then I take my edamame and I toss it into the bag, and then I shake that up really good, toss it in the refrigerator, and I let it sit so that it can absorb that turmeric and ginger so that when I'm eating it, it actually goes into my body and starts releasing that inflammation and pain. And guess what? Today I feel absolutely amazing. I do. I feel good. I put in my 90 grams of protein yesterday. I mean, I packed in that protein yesterday because I knew I needed that protein for the energy, but I also need it for my muscles. And that's something we're going to talk about later this week. So hang tight. All right, getting back to this. Okay. So meat, veggies, healthy fats. That is how your plate should be addressed. So bigger portion, protein. All your protein goes here. Okay. Not heaping. Okay. Right here. Just a nice alignment. 2 chicken breasts, turkey, yeah, some, load this, full of turkey. You can do a steak, a nice steak. Get creative, your lentils, your beans, maybe you've got a bean dish that you've made that it goes right here, okay? Over here is going to be your vegetables. So these are your Brussels sprouts, these are your broccoli, this is your cauliflower, this is your carrots, this is your green beans, your peas. You notice I'm not mentioning anything about potatoes. So we're going to get to that. Over here, healthy fats. But if by chance you're not really into the healthy fat on your plate and you want your healthy fat in your snacks, okay, that's great. I know you're asking me like, okay, how does that work? So you can trade out your healthy fats on your plate to be your healthy fats in your snacking process. So want to know more? We can talk about it, okay, when we get done here. You can put your carbs in here, but your carbs need to be things like sweet potatoes, right? Cauliflower rice. That needs to be your carbs. And I teach more about that as well, especially to my diabetics. So this is how you can portion control your meals and understanding how to truly eat. Now, again, you can use a plate like this, only an adult one, not a child one. I did use this for the grandchildren when they were little, so that they understood how to actually address their plate. So you're probably thinking, well, that was crazy. No, that's not crazy. We have to start these children out now, knowing and understanding what foods belong on their plates instead of waiting until they're in their 20s. And by that point, they've already consumed so much sugar, so much ingested poisons during this time frame that 20 is still looking at a late stage of something actually already in the process of growing into the body. Diabetes, high blood pressure, celiac disease, Crohn's. I mean, these are all things that, start really developing very early on that we did not see when we were younger in my era. When I was growing up, we didn't see autism. We didn't see, the spectrum, we didn't have those things. It was not there, but it was building up over the course of time because my generation was the guinea pigs for the TV dinners and the convenient foods. Not only that, but that's really when you started seeing the fast food joints when I was growing up really starting to pick up. Back in the day when my parents were growing up, they were mom and pop restaurants, people in the community who opened up restaurants to provide healthy, nutritious meals to their community. That's what real restaurants were all about. Good, homemade, healthy cooking. Nobody was going to die or suffer from those type of restaurants. But today you are suffering and you are dying from your fast food chains and your convenience stores. That is happening. All right, so going back here and getting a little bit back on track, it talks about, half for veggies, protein, and then your carbs, right? So again, for diabetics, the bigger portion is your protein. That is where your protein goes. And then you have that at your 12 o'clock hour. At your 4 and 7 o'clock hour, that is where you have your veggies and you have your healthy fats. Again, if you're going to trade out your healthy fats for some carbs, make sure your carbs are things like sweet potatoes, cauliflower rice, things like that. Okay. Remember that when we are actually providing more protein and fiber into our meals, when we do eat things like white potatoes, red potatoes, we can consume those, excuse me, in a smaller portion, okay, because we are actually providing the protein and fiber in the beginning of the meal so that when we add those, it slows that sugar absorption down and doesn't spike our blood sugar. So keep that in mind. All right. Here we go. So part 2 of this is why portion control matters. So our plates have gotten bigger over the years. Anybody else notice that? Notice how our plates have gotten much bigger. I mean, back in the day, our plates were just a little bit bigger than this, but today they're much bigger. Which often leads to larger portions and overeating because we see the plate and we're like, well, we got to fill that plate up. It's a mind game. Okay. So if we're not sitting here understanding the mindset of how we should actually eat or how we should be mindful when we are eating, then we see this plate and we're like, oh, I gotta load that. And my husband's a great example of that. That's his thinking. He sees that plate and he's like, that has got to be loaded with everything I can put on it. And that's what he does. So again, not everybody follows your journey. Not everybody's a part of your journey. Not everybody believes in your journey, but you have to do you and be you. And that's what I encourage here. Um, when we are portion controlling and we're understanding the portion controlling process and we're not getting restrictive in this portion controlling, okay? I'm very much an adamant believer in that's your plate. You do understand how you should eat. I've given you all the tools available. And if you're out here actually utilizing that plate to the fashion of filling it all up, here's the thing, you're no longer supporting your digestive process, okay? So when you eat the right portions, your body digests food more effectively. Interesting, right? And you feel more energized and not so sluggish. So my husband, who I use him as an example, guys, because he's a perfect example, and I just keep hoping he's going to hear me one day. So it's cold, guys, and my nose has been running, so I apologize. When you turn around and put the right portions on your plate to match your body's needs, you are more energized. Now, that also goes with you putting the right foods on the plate. We're not talking just about how much you're putting on the plate, but the right foods going onto the plate. So when you put the right foods on the plate, you will be more energized. But when you're someone like my husband who is filling up that plate and not really utilizing the right food to put into his body, he's always tired after he eats. He always takes a nap after he eats. I have tried to encourage the next step, which is when you eat, after you eat, you should always go on a walk, a 15-minute walk. Why? Because just like I mentioned, when you eat the right foods and you're portioning them correctly and you go on a walk after you eat, number one, you already have more energy from the food that you're consuming if you're consuming the right foods. And when you go for that 15 to 20-minute walk, you are re-uptaking dopamine levels, serotonin levels, but not only that, norepinephrine levels, but you're also increasing that digestive process, because where does all of those lie? Dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine, where does that all lie? It lies in the gut. That's where it sits. These are hormone levels. So whenever you are in this state of eating right, portioning right, putting the right foods in your body, and then going for a walk, you are effectively coming in and digesting and healing that gut. We have so many people out here suffering from their digestive system, just constantly wreaking havoc on them. All right, so managing your conditions, right? So those of you who are managing your diabetes, your blood pressure, weight issues, portion control is a real game changer for you. And when you understand how to actually do it and what foods to put in, it is just, I love it when my diabetics come back and say, oh my gosh, since I've been doing this, I feel this, and this. And it's just so rewarding to hear how, number one, the change in their voice from the day one we had the conversation to them realizing that this is how they feel and this is how much weight they've lost. And again, we don't focus on the weight loss here. We focus on you getting nutritionally healthy and understanding the value of the food, okay? So what is the definition of mindful eating? Mindful eating is about being fully present while eating, okay? Savoring each bite, paying attention to the hunger or the fullness, whichever. Are you hungry? And if you're hungry, are you full now? You got to have these signal cues, okay? And enjoying the process. That's what mindful eating is all about. So let's take a moment to go through some steps. All right. So let's do pause before we eat. Why would we pause before we eat? Just, I can hear somebody already going, she's not making any sense. Okay. So take a moment to appreciate your food. How many of you actually put a plate of food in front of you, and have you ever just really looked at it and said, thank you, Lord, for the, I'm not saying pray over your food. Okay. But I do pray over my food. I'm just saying, how many times have you really looked at your food and said, thank you? Thank you, Lord, for this food today. I would give an opportunity to that because there's value in it, more than you believe. But do it for 7 days and see how the thought processes change in your mind and how you actually eat. All right, so let's eat without distractions. Another great one. Turn off the TV, put the phones down, stop watching the phones. All right, and focus on solely about your meal. That meal is in front of me. It's in front of me. I want to focus on that meal. I want to see the value of the meal. I want to see the food and know that this is coming into my mouth and it's doing this, 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 and this. Now, not everybody thinks that way, but over a course of time, when you're here with me, that'll be what you do. All right, chew slowly. All right. So aim for 20 to 30 chews per bite. Now, I'm not saying count them, but get an idea. Okay. It's important. This helps your digestion and it gives you brain time. Yeah, brain time. The brain actually registers what's coming into the body and how it should feel. It's actually feeling it. It's feeling the texture. It's tasting the flavor. It's feeling every moment of. You're not giving your brain enough credit whenever you're eating, and you should. Listen to your body. Okay. Stop eating when you're satisfied. And you know when you're satisfied. So stop eating when you're satisfied. The goal is to feel energized, not weighed down. Remember how I told you my husband eats and he fills up that plate? I mean, he's always filling his plate up and he wonders why he's sluggish and tired afterwards. He's never really putting in the right food and he's eating too much of it. And therefore, then he is sluggish and tired and he is always drained because he's never realizing that he's not hungry. He's just eating because he's bored. And then he eats too much when he does. So this happens to everybody. We all do it. It happens. So don't get into the weeds about it. Just understand it. All right. So connection to portion control. Mindful eating works hand in hand with portion control. So when you eat slowly and attentively, like I said, the easier it is to recognize that you've had enough and you're full. And that is what this is all about. When you put portion control and mindful eating together, you get harmony and understanding. And that's important. That is what we want you to understand here. All right, so exercise, let's talk about exercise because we need to talk about exercise. Again, 10-minute workouts 3 times a day. Simple. Everybody's got 10 minutes. All right. Walk after each meal. Boost those hormones because you're raising them up and you're giving yourself that flow into the next, part of your day. Whether it's right after breakfast, you're going into that, mid-morning area, mid-morning area of your busy schedule and you need that energy, walking's going to give it to you in that 15-minute time frame after you eat. You go to lunch, you put that good, healthy food, you look at it, you see it, you value it, you're understanding it, you're thanking God for it. And now you eat and you're ready to do another 15-minute walk. And all of a sudden you're feeling that burst of energy coming because you're giving your body what it needs, giving the mind what it needs. Okay. So, I want you to visualize a good, healthy, balanced plate. What does it look like to you? I'm really curious. So we're going to talk about it. So give us just a few minutes. I want you to have that visualization in your head. I want you to visualize what a good, healthy plate looks like to you. And then we're going to talk about it here in just a few moments, okay? Because we're getting to wrap this up. All right, and I'm going to guide you through all of it. So don't worry, just get that into your head. Okay. What does a good, healthy, balanced plate look like to you? Because we're going to talk about it because this is you going back the rest of this week and you understanding how to portion your plate. Okay. All right. So portion control helps you eat the right amount of food, right? It helps you with mindful eating. It teaches you to enjoy it, right? And then the powerful combo that comes together with this is health and more energy. So better health and more energy. That is what we're putting together here. Okay. All right, so I want to challenge you. Again, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to challenge you to get into your healthy, mindful state. I want to see what that looks like on a plate, and we're going to have this conversation. So, all right, guys, have a beautiful and wonderful afternoon. This is Michelle Rawls, your licensed nutritionist and nurse and diabetic management specialist. And I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you soon.